It's the world's oldest story. But the Epic of Gilgamesh is more than myth. It's a window into the ancient mind. Written in clay some 2,000 years before the birth of Christ, it's hard to overstate how much this epic poem has influenced human culture. Its main character, King Gilgamesh, is arguably one of the first great heroes of literature. And his best friend, Enkidu, well, they're one of the first great bromances too. Gilgamesh may be considered the earliest work of literature ever found. So what secrets does it hold? Welcome to my channel. Today we'll look at 5 ancient secrets hidden in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Viewer discretion is advised for this episode, as some of this video may be offensive or disturbing. We, the makers of this video, in no way support or condone the actions of the subjects featured. Number 5. A global flood story. Older than the Bible. The story of Noah's Ark is one of the most famous tales ever told. Yet its roots reach back further than Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. In fact, elements of it appear in texts even older than Gilgamesh. But one thing that comes as a surprise is that the details are strikingly similar between them. The protagonist of the Epic of Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh, rules over the city of Uruk in ancient Mesopotamia. He's powerful, he's handsome, but he's also arrogant and cruel. His people complain about him to the gods, who take pity on them and create Enkidu to be Gilgamesh's equal. After a wild battle, the two eventually become friends and set off on an adventure. They hear rumors of a place where the sun rises and sets at the same time, where day and night are forever in balance, and where there is no old age. The friends decide to go there, but they have to cross a river first. And when they do, they find themselves trapped in a great flood. Gilgamesh and Endicott find a boat adrift on the waters and climb aboard. They float around on the floodwaters for 6 days and 7 nights before finally reaching dry land once again. Here they sacrifice some animals and release a dove and a swallow to see if the rains have stopped. When they return, Gilgamesh cuts open the belly of the fish and finds grain and pulses inside, which tells him that the time has come to plant new crops. At the end of the story, Gilgamesh concludes that life is precious and shouldn't be wasted. He accepts his mortality and uses his life to build a great wall around Uruk so that it will never fall. This sounds suspiciously like another famous flood narrative, doesn't it? Some scholars believe that both stories were actually inspired by a real event, perhaps a devastating flood that occurred along the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. However, the story of the Great Flood appears not only in the Bible, but also in many other cultures throughout history. Some examples include the Hindu text called the Matsya Purana, the Chinese text called the Huainanzi, the Sumerian epic known as the Deluge story, in the framework of the Epic of Gilgamesh, and even ancient Greek literature with the story of Deucalion and Pyrrha. Number 4. A quest for immortality that still feels modern. One of the most intriguing aspects of Gilgamesh is the fact that the hero isn't immortal, unlike many mythological figures. Gilgamesh seeks immortality out of fear of death, which makes him deeply unhappy. He believes that if he had the gift of eternal life, then he would never have to suffer from the pain and sorrow that comes with being alive. Yet despite his quest, Gilgamesh learns that immortality is impossible to achieve. In fact, the only creature that possesses such a quality is Utnapishtim, a survivor of the Great Flood. Utnapishtim refuses to help Gilgamesh at first, but eventually gives him a secret potion that will keep him young forever. He tells Gilgamesh to wait until sunset and drink the potion while sitting on a stone bank. However, Gilgamesh is unable to follow these instructions and drinks the potion during the day. As a result, it loses its magical properties, and Gilgamesh is forced to accept his fate. The idea of seeking immortality through potions and elixirs has been explored by many cultures throughout history. Even today, people spend billions of dollars on anti-aging creams and supplements in order to stay young and healthy for as long as possible. In a way, the quest for immortality is part of the human condition. It reflects our desire to avoid pain and suffering and live forever in a world full of beauty and joy. However, as Gilgamesh learned, true happiness can only be found when we accept the natural order of things and embrace our mortality. Number 3. Strange creatures that mirror. Other ancient myths. Throughout the course of his adventures, Gilgamesh meets a variety of strange creatures that are sure to sound familiar to anyone who's heard other ancient myths. For example, the hero encounters a scorpion man named Humbaba who guards the cedar forest. In some versions of the epic, Humbaba is described as having a human body with a lion's head and tail, while in others he is said to be entirely made up of scorpions. Gilgamesh also meets a giant serpent named Mushmash, who lives in the underworld. Mushmash has 7 heads and sheds its skin every new year, which allows it to stay young forever. Perhaps the most famous monster that Gilgamesh faces is Ishtar's bull, a massive creature with 7 heads and 7 sets of horns. When Gilgamesh slays the bull, Ishtar becomes enraged and sends a scorpion man to kill him. Despite all these terrifying monsters, Gilgamesh manages to survive and return home. He brings back the secret of eternal youth with him, but ultimately chooses to give up his quest for immortality in favor of living a meaningful life. These monsters show that ancient people believed in a world full of magic and wonder. They saw the natural world as being alive and full of spirits, and they believed that these spirits could sometimes be dangerous. As a result, they created stories about heroes who had to face these dangers in order to protect their people. These stories were meant to teach important lessons about courage, wisdom, and justice. And they continue to resonate with us today because they deal with universal themes that everyone can relate to. 2 clues about lost cities buried beneath Iraq. While the story of Gilgamesh is thought to have taken place in the city of Uruk, modern archaeologists haven't been able to find any evidence of it. Uruk is believed to have been located somewhere in modern-day Iraq, but its exact location is unknown. What we do know is that Uruk was a major city in ancient Mesopotamia. It was home to some of the most important kings in Mesopotamian history, such as Gilgamesh himself and his successor, Amorites. Uruk was also the site of several important temples and ziggurats, including the Temple of Inanna, which is mentioned in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Unfortunately, these ancient sites have been lost to time and buried beneath the sands of Iraq. This has made it difficult for archaeologists to learn more about the city and its inhabitants. However, recent discoveries have shed new light on Uruk and its importance in ancient Mesopotamian culture. For example, a team of archaeologists led by Dr. Paul Kriwacek uncovered the remains of a massive palace complex near the city of Warka. This palace is believed to have been the seat of power for the kings of Uruk during the time of the Epic of Gilgamesh. The discovery of this palace complex, as well as other artifacts and ruins, has helped to paint a clearer picture of what life was like in Uruk during the Bronze Age. These discoveries suggest that Uruk was a bustling metropolis with a rich culture and a powerful monarchy. The city's strategic location on the Euphrates River made it a hub for trade and cultural exchange. Its rulers were wealthy and powerful, and they used their resources to build impressive temples and palaces. As archaeologists continue to explore the ancient ruins of Uruk, they are sure to uncover more secrets about this lost city. Number 1. A warning that civilizations rise and always fall. The last secret that we'll look at today is a warning that civilizations rise and fall. This theme is woven throughout the entire epic poem. From the very beginning, we see Gilgamesh ruling over Uruk in all of its glory. He's a powerful king with a great army and a thriving economy. But as the story progresses, we see how easily this can all be taken away. When Gilgamesh goes on his quest for immortality, he leaves Uruk vulnerable to attack. As a result, the city is sacked and its people are enslaved. Only when Gilgamesh returns and defeats the forces of evil is Uruk able to rebuild itself. This story is a reminder that even the greatest civilizations are not invincible. They can be destroyed just as quickly as they are built. No matter how powerful or prosperous a civilization may seem, it's important to remember that it could all come crashing down in an instant. The only way to truly protect a civilization is to make sure that its leaders are wise and just. If they are, then the people will be happy and prosperous, and their civilization will stand the test of time. The Epic of Gilgamesh is a timeless story that has been passed down for centuries. It teaches us important lessons about life, death, and the human condition. By understanding these lessons, we can strive to create a better future for ourselves and our civilizations. Gilgamesh's journey is eternal, echoing across time, cultures, and belief. It's more than just a story. It's a memory of something real. Thanks for watching. Which fact surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more echoes of the past.